Okay, so in this video we're going to be talking about multiplying radicals. So in this case we're dealing with square roots. So before we do our examples here, let's first label the parts of a radical. So we'll just do a quick template here. So we'll say this is x. Now when you're dealing with a square root, our index is always going to be 2. Now even though it's not written, there's actually an index of 2, and that's right here. We call this our index, okay? So when dealing with square root, your index will always be 2, okay? And as you get into the higher roots, right, you could have an index of 3, index of 4, index of 5, okay? But if it's not written, like we have here, we know that we're dealing with a square root, meaning it has an index of 2, okay? Now this check mark, this is called our radical. And the part underneath our radical is called our radicand. In this case, it would be x. Okay? So, when multiplying radicals, the only thing that you have to do is make sure that your index on both of them is the same. So if they have the same index, you can go ahead and combine them by using multiplication. Okay? So in both of our examples here, we have an index of 2 and an index of 2, so we can combine those using multiplication. Same thing here, we have an index of 2 and an index of 2, so we can combine them with multiplication. Alright? So when multiplying radicals, all you need to do is make sure that they have the same index, and if they do, then you can combine them. If they don't, well, you can't combine them then. Alright? So let's go ahead and do our first problem. Erase this. So we have the square root of 3x times the square root of 12x. So we're simply just going to multiply what's underneath the radicals, right? So I like to work on our coefficients first. So 3 times 12, that's 36. Okay. And then x times x is x squared. And we can actually simplify this down, okay? Again, just looking at our coefficient, the square root of 36 is simply just going to be 6. And then looking at our variable, again, since our index is 2 here, okay, if we have anything to the second power, we can pull that variable out. All right, so I have x to the second power, meaning an x can come out, so I'm just left with 6x. Okay, and that is it. That's our final answer on number 1. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. Number 2 is a little bit different. So let's go ahead and erase this. Okay, so just doing number 2 now. Check to make sure that your indexes are the same. In this case they are. It's 2 and 2. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. We get the square root of 5x to the 5th, and then we get y times the square root of 8x, and we get y to the 4th. Okay, so again, my indexes are the same. It's 2, meaning we can go ahead and combine these using multiplication. So let's just work on the coefficients first. 5 times 8, that is 40, right? And then we get x to the 5th times x. Well, that's going to give me x to the 6th. Remember, if you have the same base and you're multiplying, you just add the exponents, right? So 5 plus 1 is really an exponent of 1 there. We get 6. And then working on y, we get y times y to the 4th, which is going to be y to the 5th. Okay? So we can actually simplify this down. Let's work on the coefficient first. So we get the square root of 40. Okay, let's break this down using prime factorization. So we get 10 and 4, 2 and 5, and 2 and 2. Okay? So again, since my index is 2, that tells me that I need 2 of the same number or 2 of the same variable in order to pull that number or variable out. Okay? So look, I have 2 2's here, meaning a 2 can come out, and then 2 and 5, that's going to stay behind. Alright, so I get the following. I get 2 square root of, and again, this is staying behind, so 2 times 5 is 10. Okay? So let's rewrite what we have here. We have 2 and then the square root of, we get 10, x to the 6th power, and y to the 5th power. Okay? So let's work on our variables now. Let's start with x. So again, since this has an index of 2, we want to rewrite this so it says x squared, or x to the 2nd power. That way we can pull it out. So looking at x to the 6th, I can rewrite this as x squared times x squared times x squared. That is x to the 6th power. And notice I have 1, 2, 3, right, x's that are to the 2nd power, meaning 3 x's can come out. Okay, so let's go ahead and rewrite what we have now. I'm going to erase this. So we're going to pull out 3 x's, right? So in this case, we get 2x cubed, right? Because x times x times x is x cubed. And then we get the square root of 10. And then we just get y to the 5th. Okay, let's do the same thing with our variable here, which is y. So how can we rewrite that so it says y to the 2nd? Well, we can do y to the 2nd times y to the 2nd times y. That is y to the 5th. And notice I have 1, 2, better to the 2nd power, so I can pull out 2 y's. And we know that y times y is y squared, so you're going to get 2x cubed, and then we get y squared, and we get the square root of 10. And look, 1y stays behind, so we just get y here. All right, and this is going to be our final answer right here. Okay, so that's multiplying radicals, and in particular, square roots.